Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button. You want to stick around. Some of my content's kind of cool, and there'll be more cool stuff. Today, we're going to be talking about why I left Korea, why I needed to get out of Korea. I just really had to go. I have quite a few reasons. Before anyone accuses me of bashing South Korea or anything like that, I do not dislike Korea. I went there for a good reason. I really enjoyed my time there. I love the food, I love the people. There are a lot of good reasons to be in Korea, and maybe if there's too much backlash on this one, then I'll do a why I love Korea video. But pandering aside, I had my own very good reasons for wanting to get the crap up out of there. We're going to go into that today. So I'll say the very first and main reason is because I had to. For my job, it was just kind of my time to go. I was only supposed to be there, only committed 24 months to living and being and working in Korea. And my 24 months was up. I could have extended, I could have stayed longer, but we're going to go into why I opted not to. Also, if you have seen my mental health video, you might know that I didn't have the best time in my work environment there. So obviously that was a huge factor. I did not care for my job. But we're not here to talk about that right now. I don't want to talk about work. That's not why I started my YouTube channel. We're going to talk about the other reasons about why South Korea just wasn't quite good enough to outweigh the cons of my less than stellar job. So, reason number one, the smog. The smog in Korea is just, it's terrible. It's really, 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 really bad. It was pretty seasonal. Spring was usually the worst time. They call it Hwangsa or yellow sand. And it blows over from China or the Gobi Desert or something like that. But it's mostly misemonji, which is like fine dust particles, something like that. It's like fine metal particles that are in this yellow sand. And that is the problem. You don't want fine metal particles floating around while you're trying to live and breathe and skin in a place. It was absolutely terrible. I didn't pay much attention to AQI pretty much all year round. It was 85 to 100 points. And then in the summer months, it would be well over 100, sometimes well over 115. And then even random times in the wintertime, I'd wake up with a notification that the AQI had shot up again. And that made obviously breathing really difficult, which is why South Korea is really known for their mask culture. But it also, my gosh, I just came from the gym, so I'm like drinking my protein shake, and it's just giving me the burps. But yeah, aside from breathing being terrible, my skin was on fire. I think I mentioned this a little bit in my simple skincare routine video, but my acne was just unable to cope whenever the AQI shot up. Whenever the AQI shot up, my face would just turn into a literal star crunch, but with whiteheads. It didn't matter how many times a day I washed my face. It didn't matter what I put on my face. Everything was bad when it came to my face. And not just my face, my body acne was bad. Any eczema or other dormant skin condition that I had would just flare up, just my whole body would feel like it was essentially on fire when the AQI would shoot up. And I just couldn't continue to put myself through that. Or I didn't want to continue putting myself through that. So when my time was up, got up out of there. The next reason I have in my notes is food. Now, I did say the food in Korea is good, and it is irreplaceable on top of that. Like, where I lived in Korea, it was a lot of ethnic food. So we had a lot of Thai, we had a lot of Indian, we had a lot of Vietnamese food. And then, of course, we had Korean food, which was everywhere. And I loved all of that. I mean, being exposed to these different ethnic foods and then having authentic Korean food on call, c'est magnifique. However, I do like American food too. And Korea does not do American cuisine like at all. Well, I mean, like, they do. They try. It's not good. It's pretty much always been lackluster. And then the most that you'll find when it comes to American cuisine is like American style fried chicken and burgers and fries. And there is so much more to American cuisine than that I missed. Like, number one being brunch culture. I love brunch. You can't even really get breakfast in Korea, let alone brunch. And I missed it. I missed it a lot. I still haven't been able to get any yet because most brunches are canceled. But I'm happy to have the opportunity to, like some of the things that I miss the most. Oh my gosh, like salmon scrambles and crab benedicts and oh my goodness, just like the thick, nice French toast or just Cracker Barrel pancakes. Like, I love American breakfast. I love American brunch. And American dinner is okay. But like, I really did miss those things. And then of course, I'm like mega addicted to Chipotle. And there isn't a Chipotle anywhere in Asia. So I can't act like that wasn't on the list of reasons to come back. And there are Asian markets where I'm at. I know the Korean food in America is always like lackluster. But I mean, I can go back and visit when I miss Korean food. Next thing I've written is transportation. Yes, Seoul has an amazing bus and subway network. I did not live in Seoul. I lived in an area called Songtan, and its buses and subways weren't as ubiquitous or as great as Seoul. Cabs were still really cheap, which is something that I will having a hard time adjusting to here when I switch back to Uber and Lyft. But cabs in Korea were really cheap, and that was nice. Cool, sure, whatever. But cab drivers are terrible drivers in Korea. Just absolutely horrible. Like, the worst of the worst. Only ever got motion sickness in my life in the back of a cab in Korea, and it was pretty much every time I was in the back of a cab in Korea. What I missed the most was driving. I want to take myself where I want to go, when I want to go. I want to be there as long as I want to be there, and I want to leave when I want to leave. I don't want to wait on a cab driver to pick me up and take me there. I don't want to wait to see if maybe I can get a cab back to where I came from. I want to get to where I'm getting on my schedule as a part of transportation. And two, I like driving. I really like driving. I enjoy it. I love taking road trips. I love going places. There are times where I'll just get in my car and I'll just ride out just because I really enjoy driving. And no bus or cab or subway can honestly replace that feeling. I did not have a vehicle in Korea. I could have gotten one, but I wasn't super interested in like paying for maintenance on like a hoopty while I was in Korea because I would only be there for 2 years. Oh, hold on a second. Sorry about that. That was my bestie Eric calling. Hi. This is the video you interrupted, but I love you, so it doesn't matter. But let's get back to it. Thing on my list is dating. 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 I had, I won't say I had no dating life in Korea because I guess that's disrespectful to the few wonderful men that I did meet when I was there. But I am still single. Um, uh, but like overall, my dating life was just not that great. Maybe I didn't crack the code or something, or maybe there's a difference between the major cities and where I was, which was a much minor city. Dating Korean dudes was not really an option. Not because of me. Like, I mean, Korean men are attractive. I'm pretty much an equal opportunity employer when it comes to dating. But Korean men and black women don't always mix. There are definitely instances, and you can definitely find Korean men and black women living and dating and loving harmoniously together. It is not incredibly common. Um, I, I can't even say if Korean men were like truly just like unattracted to me or not. Like, was it my skin? Is it my face? Is it my body? I don't know. I never asked. I never asked. Um, and the few that I matched with on Tinder, either they didn't say anything at all, or their very first word to me was, when are we gonna smash? They obviously didn't say it like that, but that's what they wanted. And that's a no go. I'm not gonna have sex with a strange Korean man in a foreign country. I've heard sex ed is pretty low in Korea, so we're not gonna do that. Dating life when it came to finding a Korean man, I was a no go. I never went on one date with a Korean man. And then dating life when it came to other service members and guys that lived around me, there was a huge immigrant population around me. And those guys were pigs. I hated every single one of them. They were just constantly full of cat calls or stalky behavior, following you home. Like, so they were a big no. And then guys from work. If you are a woman in South Korea, I'm sure you have already heard the horror stories of dating military men in South Korea. All that stuff is 100% true. Like, most of them are freaking married and lying about being married, or they got someone back home that they're with that they're just not acknowledging while they're in Korea. They're just like, for the most part, they're all dogs and they're all liars. Not all of them for sure, but a large chunk. A large chunk. So my pickings were rather slim and unsavory. I did meet a couple great guys while I was there. I was in a relationship or two while I was there, but those didn't pan out, as you can see. I had a much better dating life when I was in America. I can branch out. I can talk to other people. I'm not restricted to a small amount of service members because the civilians aren't interested in me, or they're just trying to smash and not think of me as like a human. So I was definitely ready to come back to America so that I could date with a purpose of hopefully one day getting married and not just smashing some lady's husband that I didn't know was married or something in Korea, because everyone's trash out there, you know. But anyways, we're gonna move on. We're not gonna talk about my dating life too much because it's not depressing, but it's nothing to talk about. That's for sure. Not a lot going on there. Next thing I have on my list is housing. My Korean apartment tour has the most views of anything on my channel, and it will probably always have the most views of anything on my channel. It was a nice apartment, but I didn't really like it. The apartment itself was cute. The super modern, minimalist style of Korea was definitely very apparent in the apartment that I had. I mentioned in that video, but some people didn't notice, but like almost none of that furniture was mine. Like that was not my furniture. It was my stuff sitting on the furniture, but none of that was my own furniture. It wasn't my style. That's not how I would choose to decorate. That's not I I don't know what you would call my style. I'm not really I don't know. I've never really like looked at the definitions of different types of styles, like traditional, contemporary, whatever it is not minimalism or modernism. I think those styles are very cold, and I prefer things that are much warmer. So my apartment in Korea just always felt cold. It never really felt like home, and I couldn't get my furniture shipped out there. I had to use essentially this borrowed furniture the entire time I was there, and it just added to me just never feeling like it was my place, like it was my home, like it was mine, you know. Um, so I was ready to come back to America so I can get my things, so I could decorate how I wanted. Because also you can't hang things on the walls in those apartments. We weren't allowed to at all. Um, so I was definitely ready to get back to America so I can not only get my own furniture, but I can decorate how I want. I can do what I feel like I need to do to feel at home and like this space is mine. And Yeah, I'm super ready to do that when I get out of this hotel, whenever that is. Soon. And the last part, this one is definitely pretty much the only one that is Korea's fault. Everything else on this list, I don't blame Korea or the Korean people for. This last one is just kind of a product of history. Um, and that is living in a homogenous society that is not your own. Obviously, outside of base, it was just all Koreans all the time, everywhere, everything. You know, like sure, when you go to Seoul and some of the other major cities, you'll see other brown people, and you'll see a more diverse setting. Sure, in pockets. Obviously, the vast majority is just Korean people. Now that wasn't a problem for me because I like diversity. I love how America is a melting pot. Don't mind that. So I didn't mind necessarily being amongst people that didn't look like me. What felt awkward was looking so different from them and being so different from them. They're not used to seeing me. When I first came to Korea, the stairs and the pictures and uh, things like that. At first, it was kind of cool. You know, it was a novelty. It was a novelty being treated like a novelty. I didn't have any issues with it. I actually reveled in it. I felt flattered that people wanted to take my picture and people wanted to take pictures with me because I looked so different. Um, that was, I mean, 8 years ago now. So now they're not as bold. They don't really, you know, just like take pictures of people anymore because they look different. They're a little more used to black people, but there are a lot of people that still aren't. So then I still get stares and I still get looked at like I'm crazy. I still get told that I'm loud when I'm whispering. Um, and there are still a lot of people in Korea that are not used to or comfortable being around people that look different from them. And then also, uh, I was tired of only looking at one race of people, if that makes sense. Um, I wanted to see a melting pot. I wanted to see diversity. I loved walking around outside of base and hearing a whole bunch of different languages that I didn't recognize at all because of the population out there. Um, I love walking around America and seeing all types of people in all types of dress. Like I like diversity. I like celebrating diversity. I like hearing about other cultures and learning about other cultures, and having friends of other cultures. And Korea does not necessarily offer that unless you're heavily intertwined in the expat community. But then the second you walk outside of that neighborhood, you're reminded that you're surrounded by only one race of people. Um, and that just got really stale. Of course, like it. I got very used to being around Korean people, and I wanted more. I wanted more. So that is another entry on my list. I'm sorry if that comes off controversial or offensive. I really like, I do really like how, um, places like the United States, because the United States isn't the only place in the world like this, but places like the United States has so many different um, cultures and people that you can meet at any given time. Like, you're not just gonna leave one community, like one street. Like Itaewon is just one tiny neighborhood in Seoul, and then the second you leave Itaewon, it's all Korean people. Like, there's not very many places in America where the second you leave one neighborhood, everything else around you is just white people. Like, that's not like a thing, really. um and I like that, and then I like the possibility of running into people that look like me. I like being around black people, of course. Like, why wouldn't I? So of course I want to live in a place, a country where if I chose to, I could live in a neighborhood of black people if I wanted to seek that out. And then 9 times out of 10, the neighborhood isn't going to be only black people, anyways. So it's still going to have a modicum of diversity. But yeah, so I mean, if you have an issue with that, I mean, feel free to mention it in the comment section. But that's just kind of how I feel. Like, I didn't want to be, and I would feel that way about any race. I don't want to be the only black person in the middle of a sea of any other race. That is uncomfortable. And I wanted something different. I wanted something else. I wanted something more. Um, and I can get that here in the United States. I will say that it almost feels weird right now in this moment saying that I prefer the United States because of its diversity with everything going on at the moment. I don't know when you might find yourself watching this, but right now we're still kind of knee deep in the backlash of George Floyd's murder. We're still waiting on Breonna Taylor's murders to be charged. We're still watching out for the case of Ahmaud Arbery and Elijah McClain. So it does feel odd right now to say that I prefer America because it is diverse and I can come across diversity anywhere that I go for the most part. But I think that is still true. There are people in America that are not happy with the diversity that exists here. There are people in America that do not want to see all the different types of people and skin colors and races succeeding as well as their own race. But those people do not make up the America that I love and I know and that I fight for with my life. the America that I know and I love does accept and celebrate diversity. It has its issues because of those others, and because those others that don't want this have been in these seats of power for a very long time. Um, but at the end of the day, the people in America, the people out there protesting, the people out there rallying to get kids out of cages and to protect Muslim lives and LGBTQ lives and Black lives, those people are the people that make America what it is and what I love. And it's easy to forget sometimes during this turmoil that those people exist. But I see you all and I thank you all. Every ally, every activist, every voice, every share, every like, every tweet remind me of why I love America. This video wasn't really supposed to go there, but I felt like if I'm going to talk about all of this, then I do need to talk about, there are bad parts to America too. That is why I felt like it was time for me to just leave Korea. It is just not quite the place for me. That doesn't mean anything is wrong with Korea. That doesn't mean that you all shouldn't still love and adore Korea or consider moving there and things like that. This is not to sway anyone's mind. This is just me personally, what I want out of my life and how I live. Korea just didn't quite offer that. Korea was a very fun time. I really enjoyed it for the time that I was there. But I'm getting up there in age, I'm ready to start nesting. So when I think about the place that I want to settle down forever, unfortunately, Korea is not on that list. I definitely will probably still vacation there. I will definitely be back to visit. I'll go back for a short work trip too. Short. I'm not spending any more than like 6 months working there ever again. I promise you that. But yeah, it just wasn't home for me. It was just a fun time. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or you want me to elaborate on anything, or you have any specific questions about living in Korea or being Black in Korea, feel free to leave it in the comment section below and I will answer those questions as they come in. And if it's enough of them, I'll just make another video. And if you like this video, make sure to like this video. If you dislike this video, please don't dislike the video. But I can't stop you. Do whatever you want to do. Subscribe to my channel and come back for the next video. Okay.